I've buried friends who died rich but empty. I've watched brilliant people waste decades chasing the wrong things. I'm 70 years old, and I'm finally ready to tell you the truth that nobody, not one person, ever told me. Not because they didn't care, because most of them didn't know it either. I'm 70 now. Here's the advice I wish someone gave me at 20. Almost nothing you believe is urgent at 20 is actually urgent. I remember being 22, lying awake at 3 in the morning, convinced that if I didn't figure out the next 5 years by sunrise, it was over. That I was behind, that everyone else had a map I'd never been given. Here's what I know now. There is no map. There never was. That breathless, chest-tight panic that you are somehow running late for your own life, that's not a warning signal. That's just noise. The sound of a world that profits from your anxiety. The most purposeful people I've ever known didn't move frantically. They moved deliberately, like they had somewhere real to go, and they trusted they'd get there. It took me 30 years to understand the difference. At 25, your body absorbs punishment silently. Bad sleep, no exercise, chronic stress. It doesn't show up at 30, it doesn't show up at 40. It arrives at 58 or 63. And it doesn't arrive as one thing, it arrives as everything at once. Nobody said this to me directly. They said, take care of yourself the way people say drive safe, a reflex. Something you say, not something you mean. So I'm saying it to you like I mean it. The choices you're making right now are writing a medical history your future self will have to live inside. Your body right now can recover from almost anything. That window doesn't stay open forever. Use it. Nobody tells you at 20 that the 5 people closest to you will shape your income, your ambitions, your health, and your sense of what's possible, more than almost any deliberate decision you'll ever make. I had a friend in my 30s, smart man, funny, I genuinely loved him. But he was cynical about everything. Every idea was impractical, every ambition was naive. I spent nearly a decade in close proximity to that voice, and I watched it slowly, quietly edit my own. He didn't do anything to me, but proximity is influence, and influence over time becomes identity. Be conscious about whose voices live in your head, because those voices will answer for you in moments when you don't have time to think. And those moments, those split-second decisions about risk, about courage, about whether you're worth it, that's where your life actually gets made. At 20, money looks like a scoreboard. At 70, it looks like options. The option to say no to work that diminishes you. The option to stop when your body asks you to stop. The option to help someone you love when they need it. There were years, genuinely good years I can never recover, where I was physically present at home and completely absent in every way that mattered. My mind was always at work, always chasing a number that kept moving. Nobody told me the number would keep moving. That's how it works. You hit the target and the target relocates. Because the chase was never really about the money. It was about some unresolved question about worth, about proving something to someone who probably wasn't even watching anymore. I carried something for almost 15 years that I won't name. What I'll tell you is this. The entire time I carried it, my anger was justified. The wound was real. The wrong was real. But they had moved on. They were sleeping fine, laughing at dinners I wasn't invited to. And I was lying awake at 2 a.m. rehearsing arguments that didn't exist, relitigating moments that were years in the past. That is not justice. That is a sentence you give yourself. Forgiveness doesn't mean what happened was acceptable. It doesn't require any contact with the person at all. It means you stop letting the wound write your future. I wish someone had explained this to me at 25 instead of 50. I lost years, real, irreplaceable years. Not because of what was done to me, because of how long I chose to hold it. I want to give you something concrete. The people who sat with the dying, the nurses, the researchers, the people who documented what humans say in their final weeks, they all found the same thing. Not one person wished they'd worked more. Not one person wished they'd accumulated more. Not one person wished they'd won more arguments. What they said again and again was this: I wish I'd let myself be happier. I kept treating happiness like something to earn later after the work was done. Later never came. I wish I'd stayed closer to the people I loved. Not performed closeness, actually shown up, been present, Let them know what they meant to me while they were still there to hear it. I wish I'd had the courage to live my own life, not my parents' idea of one, not my culture's version, not the one that looked impressive from the outside. I have things I didn't say to people who are gone now. That silence is a cost I would not recommend. If I could sit across from myself at 20 and say just one thing, I'd say this: the life that will feel like something when you're lying in the dark at the end of it. It's not built from achievements. It's not built from the impressive version of yourself. It's built from the moments you were actually there, the people you let yourself love without conditions, the times you told the truth when lying would have been easier, the grudges you set down, the voice inside you that you finally learned to trust. That life doesn't photograph well. But at 70, when the noise has finally settled, it's the only one that feels like yours.